Today we're going to read Diary of an Awesome Friendly Kid. And we're going to fast forward to the page 24. Okay, let's read. The time I saved Greg from Tevin Larkin birthday party. There is a kid named Tevin Larkin who lived over on Speen Street. And last summer, his mom visited me and Greg to Tevin's birthday party. We didn't want to go because Tevin is hyper, but both her mom said we had to. It turns out me and Greg were the only kids invited in Tevin's party. But we didn't know that until we got there. After we gave Tevin his presents, his mom said it was time for party activities. The first activity was to watch this movie about a guy who could turn into a bear and an eagle and a bunch of other animals. When the movie was over, Tevin wanted to watch it again, but me and Greg told Tevin's mom we didn't want to watch the movie a second time, so she said we could move on to the other activity, like pin the tail on the donkey. That just made Tevin mad. Here on this page, okay. He got all wound up and started acting like the guy in the movie who could turn into an animal. Rawr! I guess Tevin's mom was used to this sort of thing, but me and Greg didn't know what we were supposed to do. We asked Mrs. Larkin if she could take us home, but he said there were still 2 hours to go in the party. So we went out for the back door and waited in the yard for Tevin to calm down. But eventually Tevin found us, and now he was acting totally nuts, roaring in 4 legs, in the grass. I took a few steps back to get out of Tevin's way, but that's when I fell into a big ditch. Luckily, the ditch wasn't too deep, or I probably would broke some bones. But when I got on my feet, I heard this buzzing noise all around me. I turned out. This was a hornet's nest at the bottom of the ditch, and they were all stirred up. I got stung 12 times, and 2 of the sting were inside my mouth. Miss Lurkin brought me home early, and Greg hitched a ride too. Anyways, Greg is always saying he'd own me for getting him out of that party. And I put it in this book in case I even need to remind him. Greg's accomplishment. Every biography of every biography I've ever read for school has a chapter called accomplishment. So I figured I'd better add that in here before I forgot. The problem is that Greg is only a kid. And most of the accomplishments haven't happened yet. So I leave some blank space for space here, and I can fill it later on. The time me and Greg disturbed a ancient burial ground. If you were spooked out by the goat man story from before, then you might have to skip this one. Skip this one. Okay, if you are still reading, remember I warned you. One time me and Greg were playing Viking and Ninja in the woods, and then some teenager came by and ruined our fun. Nerd, by shouting that word, whatever. Okay. But that's not even the scary part yet. So keep reading. Me and Greg went farther back in the woods. So woods to get away from those teens. Greg said we should build a fort. So if they came looking for us, we could protect ourselves. So we spent the rest of the afternoon making a fort out of sticks and logs. Greg said we should put some rocks in our fort in case things got really bad. But it was starting to get dark, and there weren't a lot of rocks lying around in the woods anyway. Let me show you only this picture. So I only show this in I read almost the rest, maybe until here. Yeah. Okay. But then I tripped over something. And guess what? It was just a big rock. I told Greg I thought I sprained my ankle, but he wasn't. He was a lot more worried about that rock than my injury. So Greg said it wasn't a rock. It was a gravestone. And we just disturbed an ancient burial ground. I guess you already knew that was coming because it was in the title of this chapter. I probably change it later on so I don't give the surprise away. Anyways, me and Greg were totally spooked, and by this ancient burial ground. Spooked but out by this the thing that by now it's really dark out, so we were extra scared. But Greg must totally forgot about my ankle because he took off and I couldn't keep up. I kept waiting for Greg to come back, but he never did. Luckily, my parents called Greg's house to ask where I was, and that helped him remember I was still out there. And just to show you'd have a great pal, Greg is he let my parents brought flashlight and point them in the right direction. Bye.